Hello, I'm Patricia Reith, garden designer and program manager for Delta Recycling Society's Earthwise Garden, located in Tilbury Industrial Park in Delta. The garden here has been designed according to the principles of Waterwise Gardening. And what Waterwise Gardening means, actually, is designing a garden in such a way that we consume less water. There are 6 basic principles to keep in mind in designing a Waterwise garden. The first is to group plants. The second is to mulch. The third is to tend your soil. Fourth, save water. Fifth, water wisely. And sixth, use drought-tolerant plants. Grouping plants simply means arranging plants in your garden so that plants with similar needs for sunlight, soil, and water are grouped together. In this section of the garden, we feature plants that thrive in the light-filtered light of forest understories. Some of these plants are native North American wildflowers. Fringed bleeding heart is a great woodland understory plant and survives summers quite well with very little supplemental water. Jacob's ladder is wonderful for a splash of spring color in the garden and is also quite hardy, quite drought tolerant in the summer months. Woodland plants love rich humus soil. This area of the garden, we tend our soil, another one of the principles of Waterwise Gardening. And the soil here is enriched on an annual basis with compost. For a home gardener, this is the best thing that you can do to increase the water-holding properties of your soil. In our garden, we use soaker hoses to apply water where it's most needed, directly at the root of the plant. And that prevents evaporation. And it also keeps the plant healthier because it avoids splashing of water onto foliage of plants. Another basic principle of Waterwise Gardening is to use mulch. Mulch is basically a 2 to 3 inch layer of preferably organic material that's placed on the surface of the soil. The mulch helps keep the roots of the plants cool, prevents evaporation, and as an added benefit, it helps keep down weeds. An important consideration when you're trying to select plants for a Waterwise garden is to try to choose plants that are naturally adapted to surviving drought. Plants make many adaptations to survive in arid climates. One of the adaptations that are typical among plants that are quite drought tolerant are silvery leaves. Silvery leaves, if you look at them closely, are actually covered with a fine downy hair, which not only acts as an insulation for the plant and prevents the loss of moisture, but can actually capture moisture. This is Artemisia silver brocade, and it's widely available in nurseries. This is hens and chicks, and as you can see, this plant has very thick, fleshy leaves, full of moisture. Anytime you see a plant that has these thick, succulent leaves, it's probably a drought-tolerant plant. Another indication that a plant may be able to survive drought is the presence of very small or needle-like leaves. A lot of conifers would fall into this category. This plant grows from a bulb, and a bulb is an adaptation that some plants make to wet winter, dry summer climates. Through a bulb, the plant is able to store nutrients and water from the wet spring months to allow it to survive in dormancy in the summer. This plant is a little known but very beautiful native of the Pacific Northwest, known as greater camas. Now, the 6th principle of Waterwise Gardening was to save water. And one of the ways of saving water on site is to take advantage of contours or natural depressions to create an environment for plants that actually need more water. Another way that you as a home gardener can save water on site is through the use of rain barrels. And rain barrels can be installed on the side of your house to allow you to take advantage of the bountiful rain we have in the winter in order to use it in the dry summer months. So as you plan your garden for the summer, try to keep in mind how much water you plan to use. And remember that by applying basic, simple principles of Waterwise gardening, you can create a diverse and beautiful garden that's less consumptive of water.